Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another episode of Pornstar Confessions. Today I've got Teddy Bryce. Welcome.
Hi.
So, first question, how did you come up with that name?
Um, that's yeah. Okay, so I have a love hate with my name. More so love now that I've kind of grown into it a little bit more, but it wasn't the name that I originally wanted. Um, when I first did my first studio shoot that I thought meant something that wasn't just sort of like fetish stuff or like fisting. I came up with the name Reno Bryce, which comes from a comic book called The Wildcats, and like he's a tortured artist, but he also has these cool claws, and it is. I just thought he was really cool. It's just like this really obscure comic book that I really liked, but the studio that I was working for, they didn't like that. So I changed it to Teddy Bryce and they went for it. But it was kind of like an on the spot decision. And it wasn't something that I was like thinking a lot about. So it just kind of came out and then it stuck. And for like a long time, I was just never really felt like it was my name. Um, Especially because I feel like it's a it almost sounds like a Mormon name. It just sounds like very straight, and that's not really like what I present. But as I've sort of like aged into it, I feel like it really suits me. Um, so I think I have an appreciation for it that I never had before.
Okay, so well, what the fuck was their problem with Reno Bryce? I think that's a great name. Sorry,
I
did it
think
just
you're
cut out?
frozen. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
So, what the fuck was their problem with Reno Bryce? I don't. Well, I think that's a great name.
I so my first scene was with a guy in the industry that I mean I don't really speak to anymore, and there's a reason for that. But he was directing it, and he just kind of likes everything his way, and that's just kind of what happened. I don't know. I felt like I was kind of just not like steamrolled, but I was maybe just like nervous, and I kind of just like let it happen when maybe I should have put my foot down a little bit more. But I think I think what a lot of people don't really understand about the porn industry, especially because OnlyFans and Just for Fans and Twitter and you get to have so much control over what you present to your audience, and it was never like that. Like when I first started porn like 10 years ago, it was very much what the studio wanted you to be. And to a certain extent, if you're still working with bigger studios, it's still like that. So you don't really get a lot of say in how you are presented, So if they're going to kind of say, you're the tattoo rough fetish guy, you don't get to do any sort of like easy shoots. That's just how they'll cast you. That's just how it is. And if they say they don't like your name, they'll be like, change your name. And back then it was very much kind of understood that if you didn't do what they said, they just weren't going to cast you, or there was like a bunch of other, young hot guys that they would hire just as easily. So it did really feel sort of like God, I don't want to say bullying, but it felt like a lot of things kind of felt like a threat, which kind of I don't really do a lot of studio porn anymore because I don't like that. I don't like that setup.
So you vastly prefer making your own content now.
Hmm. Yeah, very much. I mean, I think it's like um a little bit of me being kind of a control freak, but then I've also been burned so many times with how other people have presented me, and being unhappy with how people have presented me or tried to build an image to be able to market me. And so to be able to like be in control of my own image and my own marketing, I feel like is a huge bonus for me.
Yeah. What do you mean about, like, can you elaborate on the being burned as far as how you're being presented?
Yeah. So, I remember when I first started working for bigger studios, I always wanted to be one of like the how do I put this? I wanted to be like one of the big porn guys, and they weren't doing any of the fetish stuff, I mean, they would sometimes, they'd like dabble in it, but it wasn't like their main gig. And so I would always be sort of pigeonholed into doing like the hardcore BDSM or the fisting. And I was never really allowed on the other side. And I would like beg them for just like a straight shoot, that didn't involve me being tied up or fisted or, like smacked around or whatever. I was like, I just wanted my chance to go over to that other side, but they just would not do it. They, like, I don't know if it was directors or owners of the company or whatever, but they just saw me a certain way, and they saw me how they thought that they could sell me, and that was what they were going to do. And I enjoy all kinds of sex. And I'm a multifaceted, dynamic human being that's capable of a myriad of different scenarios, and so it's nice to be able to be in control of that.
Yeah, no, I get that, because I definitely got pigeonholed into that sadistic ultra dom bullshit by a lot of studios, and I was like, fuck this.
Sorry, you cut out. What'd you say?
I said I definitely know what you mean, though, because I definitely got pigeonholed for a while by the studios in that like very sadistic dom bullshit, and I'm like, can I just have a normal fucking scene?
Can I just get fucked on a bed? How about that? Like, I don't want to be like suspended or like, upside down on like a crazy apparatus, like I just want to get fucked on the bed for like once. It just like was not happening. It's frustrating.
So where were you as when you first started in porn, did you have the appearance you have now, or has that progressed?
It's definitely progressed. So, the reason why I got into porn in the first place is because I was in my early 20s and I was starting a tattoo apprenticeship. Yeah, and I don't know if I think people know this about me, but maybe they don't. I'm actually a tattoo artist. Yeah, you could go check out my Instagram. I'll plug that later. But in my early 20s, I was doing a tattoo apprenticeship, but I was also bartending. And so when you do a tattoo apprenticeship, it's like you're working a full-time job for free, with the exchange of them teaching you stuff. It's an exchange, but like most apprenticeships, they do not pay you. So, and you have to be there all day, Monday through Sunday, most of the time. So working a bartending shift at night and then going in the next day early in the morning to like mop floors and work at the tattoo shop, it just like I wasn't sleeping. There was just no way I could do it. So I started escorting, which was helping me bring in some cash, and then I started doing porn as well to kind of supplement and make my name on the escorting profiles bigger. And then when I got to a point where I was starting to get booked, I just got rid of the bartending gig because it was easier for me to take like a day off for a shoot than it was for me to just constantly be working all of the time. And if I could make the same money same money escorting, doing like 2 hours or whatever, that I could be making like in a full night of bartending, that was like it was just so much easier. So back to your question. I started. I was tattooed when I started, but as the years progressed and my tattoo journey progressed, it was easier for me to get cheap tattoos because all my friends were tattoo artists. So I just, sort of got more coverage. And then I think I've just always had like love for body mods. I've just always thought they were really cool. I got my ears gauged to a pretty big size when I was like still in high school. Yeah, it's just always been like a love and a passion of mine.
Gotcha. And what about your musculature? I mean, you got a very impressive physique. Was that always there, or did that come about later?
Say that again. It keeps cutting out.
Okay. Yeah, just like
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so like your musculature, like you have a very impressive physique. Was that always there, or did that come about over time as well?
I wanted it to be there. I was trying, but I I was living in San Francisco, being an escort and doing porn, and going to the gym, and I had a trainer and stuff, but I didn't realize like what it really took to get the physique that I wanted. And it wasn't until like really a couple years ago that I got like a coach, like a really solid coach, and I started competing and started like really putting everything into it. And that's when my physique really changed.
Wait, so you compete as well?
Yeah, I've competed. I've competed once. I'm going to compete again this year.
When the fuck do you sleep, dude?
Well, that's the thing is that like if I create my own content, then like I can make my own schedule. Like my days are pretty regimented. Like I eat at the same time every day. I wake up at the same time. I take my dogs out. I have my first meal. I go to the gym. It's just all kind of like um, it's all very structured. And now I live in Sheffield in the UK, which is just like a really small city, and so the demand for tattoos isn't like huge here. So I only kind of go into like a private studio when I get bookings. I'm not there like every day, so I can really tailor my days really easily. So now I'm kind of just working on big projects and projects that I really want to be working on.
Okay. So I mean, that's got to make your job more enjoyable too, because you're
Yeah.
taking what you want to take. You're not like, fuck, man, I don't want to do this shit, but I got to pay the bills.
Oh my god, for years I was doing that though. And like I love tattooing so much. Like the guy who taught me how to tattoo, he would always say like the second you get like a walk-in tattoo and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this shit, that you've already lost. You have to figure out a way to make those projects fun and interesting and draw them in a way that's like super unique to you so that you're really proud of it in the end and they can have a piece that they are really happy with forever. But after a certain point, it starts to like where I am right now in my life. It's not worth the time to go into the studio to do those small projects than it would be for like bigger, like a leg sleeve or something like that, which there is demand for, luckily.
Gotcha. And do you apply that same mindset to porn?
Only doing projects that I want to do.
Yes, essentially. Like you're not thinking, "Fuck, man,
Yeah,
I got to
yeah.
shoot with this motherfucker."
Well, that that is kind of like the risk you take when you are like a very like prolific content creator. Is you talk to so many people and you meet so many people, and of course there's going to be people that like you'll chat with and it's all hot and heavy and you're like, oh, I have this like fantasy of how this is going to go, this is going to be so hot, and then you meet them and something's not quite right. It's not the same thing that you had in your head. So then it starts to feel like work. But I'm really, really good at getting in that headspace. I think that doing a lot of like in-person escorting and like doing a lot of like survival sex work when, you know, I needed it to pay the bills in San Francisco. Um, I have this sort of, I guess it's a character that I can jump into where if I'm feeling not super comfortable or if I'm not like in the mood, I can just be Teddy and I don't necessarily have to take that with me, you know? So if there is a person that like first thing off the bat, they say something to me before we start filming and I'm already kind of like on guard, I can kind of like just go into this performer mode and then cut it off as soon as the cameras are off, you know?
Yeah. No, I get
Sometimes you need that, you know, so you need like a separation because if you just keep internalizing all of these interactions over and over again, it's going to drive you crazy.
Yeah, no, and I mean, one of my favorite quotes ever is discipline is doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And it goes back to what I was saying about my mentor telling me to like do these little bullshit tattoos, but do it in a way that you can find joy in, you know, it's, and I like, that's, I don't want it to come off as if like there are times when I'm just like, oh, I gotta do it, you know, I can find something about that person that genuinely turns me on or genuinely gets me excited. You know, like that's what the trick is. It's not necessarily like just faking it the whole time. It's like trying to find some aspect of the situation that you find really hot so that you don't have to fake it, you know? And I think most people can tell too, like the camera will absolutely pick that up.
that is so true. So, I'm curious, how has porn affected your sex and love life off camera?
Um, so I am married, and my husband is a content creator as well. He goes by Johnny Walker. Um, we are kind of like our own little production studio, which is cool. Like we film each other, we run models past each other. Like if it's a verse performer, we'll both try and get like a scene out of them. Um, and I like to say that like having him with me during a lot of the shoots really kind of it helps me feel a little more comfortable because sometimes I can get a little in my head about things. So to have like my best friend and my husband there who can help like lighten the mood and we can tell jokes and we can make that other person feel really comfortable as well. Um, that definitely helps. As far as like our sex life, he's been doing sex work just as long as I have. I mean, combined, we probably have like 30 years of sex work between the two of us. Because we both just have been doing it for so long, like since we were so young. So, sex for us, needs to be a little more heightened for us to like really enjoy it. So like, if we have, if it's just like a Friday night, we have nothing to do, I guarantee you we will be on the couch watching like, you know, some epic sci-fi series or like reality TV cuddling with our dogs. We're not going to necessarily like, you know, have sex because we do that all the time. But we will also find time to have a bunch of sex together. So like when we're at home, we're kind of in business mode. You know, we own a clothing brand together. We both, you know, I spend like 3 hours at the gym every day. You know, like our days are pretty full and we're pretty exhausted. So like the last thing I want to do is like go douche for fisting, which can take me like sometimes 2 to 3 hours. Like I'm not doing that. So we'll just like be really chill and relax. But then we'll plan like content trips to go, you know, film with a bunch of people in Spain or Berlin or the US. And we will set apart days so that we can have like group sex with people or go to a sex party, and like we can still enjoy sex together and with other people.
Wait, cleaning out for fisting takes 2 to 3 hours?
For me, yeah, so it's like a whole other thing. But yeah, it's wild. I mean, I'm sure you've done a bulk before. Like, you know how much pooping and eating you're doing. So to be able to like clean out up to here, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then by the time of it, you just feel like sore and over it. So I've actually like, if I know that I have like a big like fisting shoot, like the next day, I'll actually fast the day before so that I know that there's like nothing in my system.
Jesus. Okay, so how did
Yeah,
the
being a
the
bottom is
fisting come about?
crazy. How did the fisting come about? By accident. I know it sounds crazy, but I didn't like plan it. I was at I think it was a pride party in San Francisco when I was like, I think I might have been like 22. I was young. And I met these two really sexy anarchist punk daddies that looked very much like you, to be honest, but they were a couple. And I had got there and we saw each other and like we just immediately left and went back to their place. And they both had like comically large dicks, like like it was crazy. And so they like DP'd me all night and we just like fucked all night and had a great time. And then in the morning, or you know, when the sun was coming up, I remember one of them got like one of those like water bottles that you like see like X Lube in, and he just started, you know, playing with my hole, and then it just kept getting more and more intense, and then all of a sudden it was like the craziest feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. Like having someone's like a whole hand in your guts for the first time ever, especially when you like are not really like preparing yourself for it, is nuts. So I mean, I was happy with it. I was like stoked. I wasn't really watching fisting porn at that point, and I wasn't really even like turned on by it, but I think I was just more turned on by the guy and how much he was getting out of it. So I just thought it was so fucking cool. And then I remember I like rushed to tell my friends, and I was just like, guess what I did? And so I told them, and they were like, ew, gross, you know, like they totally were just like, don't do that. You'll like wear yourself out. You know, you're so young. You're going to have like a sloppy hole and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. And I like really, really internalized it. And I didn't get fisted again for like a year. But I was like, and but at that point, like the damage had been done. Like I was only thinking about it, and I was only jacking off to fisting porn. And after a year, I was like, dude, forget that. Like I'm just gonna do what I want to do. So then I started doing like fisting porn.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
all right, before I forget, one thing that drives me absolutely insane is when bottoms are like a vice grip. Like it's
Mm.
to the point that I pulled my dick out and had it be black and blue before. Like it is fucking
Yeah, it's tough.
painful.
Just strangle your dick.
Yeah. Like I had one dude who's like, "Oh no, I thought tight was good." So I grabbed his wrist and like squeezed. He's like, "Ow." I'm like, "Exactly, dude. Why would a dick be any different? It hurts." So
That
my
tight was good. This is in the 90s. Get
so
out of here.
my question for you is, you know, a lot of bottoms don't know how to breathe and they don't know, I guess, what would be your master class? What advice would you give to people who are too tight, who don't know how to relax, who don't know how to open up? Because obviously you're the expert in this subject.
Yeah, but not like it's tough because I get this like in my DMs a lot is people asking how to loosen up or how they can take bigger dicks or how to take a fist or whatever, and I feel like I'm almost a little bit of like a, you know, a charlatan just because I think I just have a big hole. Like I think biologically, like I just have a pretty like stretchy, loose hole. And what I've learned is that like everyone's built differently. Everyone has a different biology, and like some people have looser holes, some people have really really tight holes. Um, and if you do have a tight hole, it's just something that you have to practice. I mean, I would say 70% of it is like a mental game. I think people can get really anxious and they don't know how to like let go and just let things happen to them. Which is why I actually think a lot of people take drugs. But that's like, but I think
Agreed.
learning how to get rid of that anxiety around getting fucked or just having sex in general is a huge thing. And I know that can be like really hard for a lot of people because I think just as gay men we experience so much uh, stigma when it comes to our sex. That I think just anxiety is kind of par for the course. Um, but beyond that, I say just practice. I mean, try and use a butt plug a couple times a week. And then when you feel really comfortable with that, you can use a bigger butt plug, start using bigger toys as you start playing with yourself more. The more that you do it, the more you'll enjoy it, the better it will feel, the bigger stuff you can take. Um, I I take pills for anxiety, so I mean I understand like what it means to just like be anxious about something and how it can just like but that getting out of your head and you know what, trusting your partner. I think having a partner that you really really trust that maybe you hook up with a lot, and if something's not working they're cool with you stopping the session and maybe you guys just cuddle for a while, that you have like a regular date with. I think that would help a lot of people. I think there's all this anxiety you get when you meet someone for the first time and then you're like, oh, what if they think I'm bad at sex, or what if they think my hole's too tight, or what if their dick's too big and I can't take it or whatever. I think that can be a lot for a lot of people. And I also think that some people can be really hard to read during sex, so that you add that in there and you're just like internalizing the whole thing. And then all of a sudden your dick or your hole is just like clenching down like crazy. So I think, having a partner that you can like trust, would help.
Yeah. Any other tips for getting? I think you're absolutely spot on with the people getting caught in their head. Any other tips you would give for getting out of your head other than like trusting your partner and all that stuff?
Poppers. I love poppers. I'm a big fan of poppers. But a lot of people don't like them, so I understand. I understand that. But I mean, other than finding someone that you can really trust, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's more of like a question for like a therapist. Really, is like identifying like some sort of trauma or something that makes you really nervous or anxious about sex. Um, but it's such a mental thing, and it's so different for everyone that it's really hard to give like a definite answer to
Yeah,
that.
no, for sure. So, when you were a little kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Did the thought of doing porn ever even occur to you, or was there some before wanting to be a tattoo artist?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a cartoonist. That was like what I was gonna do. That's like all I did was watch cartoons. Like I knew every cartoon. I loved cartoons. I would draw cartoons. My mom didn't even have to hire a babysitter because I was just like on the kitchen floor with like, my dad's pens and like nice printer paper, just like ruining shit. Um, so that was always the plan. And then, as you grow up, you find that plans don't really go the way that you want them to. God, I probably from being a cartoonist wanted to be like a million different careers. porn performer was never one of them. It's just something that I kind of fell into, I guess.
Mhm. So did you
But I always
take
like being the center of attention. Like I always liked like performing as a little kid, and I always liked people like looking at me. So that could have been, a clue.
okay. No, that makes sense. So would you say that you took the cartoonist and channeled that into tattooing?
Yeah, the love of art for sure, for sure. Um, I think as I graduated high school, I was still like very dead set on doing something with art, but the idea of being like a cartoonist, I think, was kind of gone by then, and it was more just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with art. And at that point, I was like, oh, well, I'll be a painter or like a fine artist or like a sculptor or something, because I was into all of those things. And then you get to college, and they're like, no, you won't. They're like, no, you won't eat if you want to do that. So then it was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do after that. And, I got my first tattoo when I was like 17, I think. And it was always just kind of like in the back of my head, but it never really felt like an option. And then halfway through, I would say like near the end of my college career, I was like, oh, I can just like draw like daggers and panthers and skulls and like totally get paid for that. And so that it just became the sort of like natural career choice for me.
Okay. Wow. I mean, one thing that really stands out about you, and I think this is amazing, but a lot of porn stars, they just do porn and that's it. There's no life after porn, there's no backup plan, there's no anything. Whereas like porn just happens to be something that you do. It's not who you are. And in addition to it, there's so many other things like, you're tattooing. I mean, you could fucking tattoo till you're 80 if you wanted to. And then you
Yeah,
also
I mean,
said,
your back will be fucked.
and like, talk to me about your clothing line.
Oh yeah, so I mean, if we're gonna talk about like a plan B after porn, I've always kind of told myself that I would have some sort of contingency plan for every sort of like phase that I've had in my life. There's always a means to an end. There's always like a reason why I'm doing something else. And so when I was bartending, I was like, I don't want to be bartending for the rest of my life. So then, that was the tattooing. And also, like when I was doing porn, I was like, well, I don't necessarily want to be doing porn for the rest of my life. And also, tattooing was going to take over for that as well. Um, I'll give you a little inside the industry right now. Tattooing is not doing super hot as an industry. Um, it's very oversaturated, and especially where I am in the UK, we went from having lockdowns which killed everyone's business, to then we get out of them, to a recession, to a cost of living crisis. Basically no one has money, and they're not spending it on tattoos. The economy is getting better now, and things are looking up, but it's an industry that is very heavily based off of the economy. And there's zero health insurance. There's like zero benefits.
Yeah.
So that's all stuff to think about. If this job can so easily be taken away, then it's always good to have a backup plan. And so during COVID, me and my husband were bored, and we just wanted to do something. So we kind of started making t-shirts. I do art, and I can do graphic design, and I can, do t-shirts. My husband is a very, very skilled photographer. Those are his photos in the back. I don't know if you can see him. There's a dick right there. And so we started making shirts and selling them in lockdown, and it was just kind of like a fun little thing that we were doing. We weren't expecting it to be like a full thing. And then things started opening up again, and we kind of just forgot about it. But then we started going into like a recession, and the tattoos weren't doing so hot, and I started falling back on content creation a little bit more, and so we just decided to go for the shirt business again and give that a go. And we've actually expanded more from t-shirts into sort of like gym wear, party wear. So
Explain that.
or even like streetwear. So yeah. So now we make like thongs and like lycra compression shorts, and then like cotton shorts for like the gym that have pockets that you can wear over them. We're venturing into like we also make these like really cool little like stringer crops as well. The brand is called Strap Metal. It's like queer focused, also like with a sort of like metal gym sort of like bro core twist. But it's been doing really well, and people have been really loving it, and I'm honestly like so grateful that it's been getting the response that it has, because we put so much into it. We do everything. Like Lee does all the photography, we do all the marketing, we run the website, we ship everything out. Like we literally do everything for this business, and it's growing pretty fast. And I'm just like, I'm in awe that people are buying the shit that we make. I'm honestly just feel so lucky.
I think that's amazing. That's truly amazing.
Yeah. And it's really great that me and my husband get to work on something together, you know, because usually it's like our worlds are very separate when it comes to like our art, and now we can like really come together and like build something together, which feels really nice.
So he's into art as well.
Yeah, in photography, yeah.
Gotcha. Wow. All right. No, I think that's amazing. And I mean, yeah, like clothing brands, if you will, I think a lot of people are starting to move away from brand names and buy stuff more like what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Well, also, we just found a sort of like gap in the market where we're like, I don't have stuff to wear to the gym or casual stuff that I feel like is made for me. You know, like there's so many like super like bodybuilding focused stuff, or like like Gymshark, or like whatever, that it all kind of looks the same, and it doesn't really have like too much creativity in it. So we're kind of trying to fill that gap and give people something they could easily wear to both a party and to the gym.
Okay. Damn. All right. I like it. So one thing that I've got to ask, and I remember the first time I saw you, I thought this, but have how do I want to say this? I'm not good at being politically correct. Have you ever had
Can't
an
wait for this.
issue in your life where people look at you and they expect you to be a certain way and then you're not? Like,
Yeah. I feel like people's default reaction towards me is that I'm gonna be like mean or something, or like standoffish or whatever. But like, if I'm ever like standoffish or whatever, it's just because I'm like, like nervous or anxious, like I'm super chill. I'm really nice. Usually what I get online is people will be like, "Hey, I met you. You were so nice. Like it was so great." And I always get like, "You were so nice." I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, I'm not sure like what you were thinking before, or I don't know if they've had experiences with other performers. I hear this sometimes. I don't know how this goes with performers acting towards like, someone who recognizes them, because I'm on the other end of that. But it seems that maybe some other performers can be not that nice, but that's just not ever how I want to stand out to someone. You know, like even if I'm like really, really not in a mood in the mood to like say hi to someone, I know that it's worth it to me that that person feels good about themselves rather than me having that moment where I'm like, just no, you know, like I'd rather just be nice and say hi than brush someone off, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that like you kind of, I understand that being so public and having such a presence online, you definitely open yourself up to people recognizing you and people wanting attention from you. And I think that there's a line that people can cross, obviously, which then that's not okay. But I think it's just something that you need to expect.
Oh.
You know, something that you need to be comfortable with. But if someone does cross that line, I can totally be a bitch. Like I can go from 0 to 100 very very fast, and I've done it before. But I will definitely give you warnings before that happens.
Yeah. What about sexually though? Because I can see how a lot of guys would look at you with your physique, with the tattoos, with the hyper masculine appearance, and assume that you're just going to be this like ultra rough dom top, like you know. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I I think most people have like luckily people have gotten like a taste of what I'm about through my online presence. I don't really get a lot of people coming up to me and being like, "Whoa, like taught me daddy." Like that just doesn't really it doesn't really happen to me that often, and like I'm kind of grateful for that because I don't have to disappoint anyone.
What about before porn though? Because now it's a little different, but like,
Well, yeah, but before porn, I was like a total twink. Like if you like
uh,
Google image search me, I'm sure you can find some very very twinky photos of me. And I don't think I was tricking anyone into thinking that I was a top back then.
okay. So,
Yeah.
how would you describe yourself now then? Like, you used to be a twink. What would you say now?
You mean as far as like gay subcategories
Yeah,
go?
essentially.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. Uh, Definitely, I'm not a bear or a wolf. I don't think.
You're
Um,
too lean for that.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have like a category. I'm like totally okay with that. If I was gonna make up my own, I would probably call like if I was gonna describe myself, I would say that I'm a muscle punk, maybe
Okay. All right.
sub muscle punk. Yeah, I'll
You,
go
I,
with
I
that.
was the reason I asked is I was curious if you would describe yourself as a daddy.
I don't mind if okay, listen, I love being dominated by guys that are smaller than me, both like skinnier or just like shorter. Like I love the size difference, and if they want to call me daddy while they're just like railing me, I'm fine with that.
Oh. All right. Okay. That I'm glad you mentioned that because I had a friend ask me that the other day and I was trying to articulate it and I failed miserably. But I agree with you that it can be hot to have like a twink or a smaller guy, fucking you, dominating you. And she was like, but why? And I couldn't articulate it any better than it's just the contrast. So like, what is it about that that is so
Yeah,
hot?
I think it makes. I mean, it just makes me feel like a hot bitch, you know, like. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I think knowing that like you're this big muscle guy that looks like on the streets they'd kick your ass, but then in the bedroom you're just like a Nelly faggot. I think that that's so hot. Like that's so hot, and especially for like a guy that is like smaller than you but just has like a huge dick. Like there's nothing hotter to me. Like and that is like not that is not something that I like always thought. That is something that I've kind of conditioned or unconditioned myself, I guess. I think a lot of people, especially like younger gays, they just kind of have this very hetero definition of what a top and a bottom should be. Like top equals bigger, muscly, bottom equals, like small sub, whatever. But that is like not, that's not reality. That's and I like reversing those roles. I think is it can just like put you in a whole different headspace.
Yeah. Okay, so the chastity thing, is that something you've ever done off camera or is that just on camera?
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a freak. I like all that shit. I have like a guy that I chat with, mainly just through text, that he's a dom and he'll like give me tasks to do. So sometimes he'll just be like lock up, and I'll be like locked for the whole day. I can't sleep with it because I get boners and it hurts too bad. So I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I can like nap with it. So that's okay. But anything that like disrupts my sleep, I can't do it, especially with like the bodybuilding and stuff. Like if I don't get a good night's sleep, it just ruins everything. But I'll lock up as long as I can. Um, but he'll tell me to do crazy stuff like if I tell him it's leg day, like he'll want me to lock up my dick, put a butt plug in, and then put a thong on to keep all of it in place, and then do a leg day. And like sometimes like it actually really helps me just focus. Like when you are like in that like super subby space, you just do what you're told and you get the workout done and you push yourself, sometimes harder than you've ever pushed yourself. Like I've gotten the biggest PBs, or was it
PR.
personal best, that I ever have when I've been like locked and plugged for like deadlifts and shit, which is just like so insane. But yeah. So I definitely do that stuff outside of the camera as well. But most of the time, I'll take videos of it or like take photos of it, and I'll like let people know. Let
Okay.
people know what I'm doing.
So for someone who's watching this who's not familiar with chastity and the mental, like how it affects you, like could you give a chastity 101, if you will?
I mean, I don't know if I'm the most qualified, but I can tell you for me, the idea of only being able to like your dick doesn't matter. Like it might as well not exist is sort of the idea. And the only way that you can really derive pleasure is through your hole. Like that's super hot to me. And I think that anyone who like identifies with like that sort of like sub mentality will understand that like just being like, like feeling like a locked up pussy boy is like it can help you focus, it can help you get in this sort of like sub headspace.
Uh, So,
But yeah, the idea is that your dick doesn't matter.
but how do I say this? Okay, there is a certain line where being teased can be hot, where it's like edging right there, not necessarily like physically edging, but you know, kind of like watching a stripper, for example. Like, it's kind of hot to
Yeah.
have that whatever. But then there's a line where if you're doing something with someone, they're teasing too much, you're like, fuck this, like, and you just get pissed, right? How do
Yeah.
you stop it from being here to going over here, and where you're just like, okay, this is like actually making me upset now.
Yes, I think that's kind of the threshold that we play with as people who are into like super kinky sex or uh, denial, I guess is what we'll call it. Um, you kind of push past that threshold to where you're like upset and you start to find this whole other sort of like headspace to get into past that. And it can be the same with like spanking or flogging or whatever. I know that when I'm doing like a really heavy BDSM session and I'm just getting like my ass is just getting like walloped with a paddle or something, there's a point where I'm like, I can't take this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm getting upset. I'm starting to like, not like this. This doesn't feel good. And then you push past that. And then it's like, it feels good again. And then you hit another wall where you're like, I do not like this. It's way too much. And then eventually you can push past that. And it's also like, it's also the same with fisting. When you first get the fist in, it's like, it can feel really uncomfortable. You're like, take it out. I don't like it, whatever. And then you push past that and you start to go a little deeper. And then you start to reach the second hole and you're like, oh no, I don't like that. That feels crazy. I can't do it. And then you push a little deeper and you start punching the second hole. It's just like, it's the sort of like progression. Get into it.
Just you saying that hurts. I'm just like, oh dear God.
You know what? There's this quote that's like, what is it to be human if not like exploring, every aspect of ourselves, and I feel like it's just that you're just constantly trying to, find out new things about yourself.
Okay. So one thing that, how do you stay anchored or connected to reality? And what I mean by that is, a lot of the times when people go down the fetish slash kink road, they keep needing to get a little further, a little further, a little further, a little further. And eventually it gets to the point where it's just so extreme and so specific that nothing in the world except, your stepmom in this exact color lingerie at 3:30 in the morning drinking 1% milk, like it becomes that specific that anything short of that, you know it's not doing it for you. My question is, how do you go over here but yet still stay anchored to, as you said, just normal sex in a bed? Do you see what I'm asking?
Yeah. I fully understand. It's actually a really good question. um I don't know. I genuinely think that, like anything else, people get bored. I think that, if you're eating the same thing every day, like say you're meal prepping, right? And you have chicken and rice. I know. Stay with me here. You have chicken and rice, and you're like, oh, I kind of want to spice this up. Then you start adding, spices to your chicken, and you're like, oh yeah, that's good. It tastes amazing. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm a little bored of this now. And then you start adding sauces to your spiced chicken, and you're like, oh yeah, that's amazing. And then you get bored of that, and then you start adding veggies, and then you start adding more and more and more and more, and eventually it's just this big walloping plate, and you're like, well, that's very tasty, but it takes a long time to make and it's very involved. I think I just want some chicken and rice. I think most people experience that with kink too. Like, I think that a lot of people will go to these really extreme places with sex, but I do eventually think that people always are like, well, I'm going to take a little break from that because I'm just not liking it the way that I used to. And then they'll probably either just take a break from sex or they'll just kind of go back to just sort of fucking and eventually build back up to that. But I think that if you're a kinky person, you'll always just, go through that.
That was actually a great analogy with the chicken and rice. Because yeah, no, eventually we'll get to a point where you're just like, fuck this. I'm too tired, too lazy for this bullshit.
Yeah, that's really what it is. And I feel that way about sex sometimes, where I'm like, okay, do I really want to get out like the rubber sheets and make J lube and get all my toys dirty and all the poppers and like, nah, I'm just gonna jack off and go to bed.
Okay. All right. So, as far as your bodybuilding goes, you said you're going to compete again. Where would you
Mhm.
ideally like to go with all that? Like in a perfect world?
Yeah, so I'm not like, I love the sport and I love following it. I love having a coach who, is a respected IFBB pro who competes. I love the gym that I go to in this tiny town, like has like 16 IFBB pros that like go and train there and stuff. And like, it's wild, but I love that whole culture. And I think it's so cool. And I also, much like the kinky side of myself, I like to push my physical body to extremes. And it also like it helps keep me really regimented and it helps keep my days very stable. And there's so much that I like about it. I don't necessarily want to be doing this as a career. This is just a hobby. The only reason why I really compete is because there's a certain body type that I really, really want to achieve. And I know that if I wasn't getting on stage, I wouldn't be holding myself accountable as much as like, oh shit, a bunch of strangers are going to see me naked and compare me to other people. I better look fucking great. So it really helps keep me on track.
Yeah.
And it also kind of like adds into that showman aspect that I have.
Okay. So, all right. Let's say that you could just snap your fingers and have any dude's physique. And let's just say you didn't have to eat
Mm.
5 bajillion times a day to get it. Because that's the worst part. Who would you
Yeah.
ideally want to look like?
Um yeah, so I used to think that I really, really wanted to look like God, I'm blanking on his name right now. Um
Rich Piana?
well yeah, like who would, but it was the same era. He had like the blonde hair that was always like, what I'm talking about.
Blonde hair.
Blonde hair. Huge massive bodybuilder. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right
Tom
now.
Platz?
Close. A little later than that. He's still around. He's still alive.
Lee Priest?
Um, no, 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 no. He has like dog peanut butter out now. Why can't I think of this fool's name? Fuck. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't even know. How do I even look this guy up?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is gonna fucking kill me. He's like humongous, tanned, blonde hair.
Wait, you talking about the German guy?
No, no, he's American. This is upsetting me. Hang on. He's like my fucking favorite too, and I just like cannot think of his name.
Not the German guy. Not Marcus Rule. That's the German guy.
No.
Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler. Jay
Oh,
Cutler is the one. I used to think that I wanted to look exactly like Jay Cutler. Especially because there's like all those like famous images of him doing like the quad stomp and he just looks fucking massive, like I was always like that was always the body that I wanted. Or like any of the like the monsters. But I'm kind of teetering between that and more of like a classic physique
Like Chris
now.
Bumstead?
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, do I want to like actually be that roided out, like huge fucking monster, like a Nick Walker or whatever, or is it nicer to maybe be a little more proportioned? You know, I think I'll always sort of err on the muscle freak because I'm just like I like just being a freak in general. But I think that's just to say that like there are so many incredible types of bodies that you could aspire to within this sort of hobby, and there are like so many things that you could like possibly achieve with your body. So that's like very exciting to me.
Okay. How old are you
But it
now?
also takes so much time to get to that like huge fucking like hattie, whatever physique. Like that is crazy how much time and like muscle maturity that takes. It's wild. Like I would be into my like 50s before I achieve something like that, I think.
How old are you now?
I just turned 35.
Okay. All right. So your muscles are still maturing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I could work out that hard, but I could never eat that much. Fuck, fuck the
It's
eating.
the eating,
The
right?
eating, dude. If I
It's
ate
the
when I
eating.
wanted to, I'd weigh like 150 pounds. I have to force feed myself
Oh
to
yeah,
get
yeah,
to
yeah. No, easily.
245.
Like if yeah, 2 meals a day, like maybe some snacks in between. Like it would not be the 6 meal rice and chicken bonanza that I'm currently doing.
Okay.
No, I agree. I think most people's appetites are like that. But I will say that like as I get deeper into this, my appetite has been expanding. I remember when I was trying to eat the amount that I am now last year, it was much harder than this year.
Yeah.
So I think it's just sort of like a progression, and it'll never be easy. Like I joke about this with some of my friends at the gym, where it's like you're always waiting to be in the next like phase. You're always like, oh, I'm so sick of cutting, I just want to bulk. And then when you're bulking, you're like, oh, I'm so sick of eating, I just want to cut. Like you're never like satisfied. So I think that there's, like I think most bodybuilders will never be happy with the way that they look.
Fuck no, dude. When I look in the mirror, I still see that 140-pound kid.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Like at the time, all the time, I'm sure you can relate. I'll see dudes at the gym and think they're bigger than me, but they actually weigh like 40 pounds less than me. And I'm like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And
what?
you'll see someone from across the gym, and you're like, that person's fucking stacked. And then you guys will both be like using the same mirror, and you're like, oh wait, like what? It's all just perception. It's crazy. And you want to know what else is really funny is like before I really started like going to this like huge bodybuilding gym and like really taking it seriously, I thought that body dysmorphia was just something for gay men. Like I didn't realize that like straight men also experience body dysmorphia, but
Oh,
like no one has it worse than the bodybuilders. Like they hate themselves. And they're so cute though because they're always just like, oh, I look bad, and then their buddies will be like, you're huge, bro, you're fucking huge. It's adorable. I love it.
oh my God. So true. So I'm curious though, like, is your scary appearance, do you think in some way that's kind of a suit of armor to keep your inner child safe? Because a lot of the
Yeah,
times,
I'd say yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was I was bullied when I was a kid for sure. Like, I mean, I always say like, are you really gay if you haven't been called faggot out of a moving fucking car when you're walking on the side of the street? Like I definitely like had that experience. I grew up in like a really small town in Northern California. There's only one kid that was like out in our high school, and he got bullied mercilessly. And I was, obviously kind of fruity. I wasn't out or anything, but like I definitely like, got a lot of comments in the halls, and like I think having to deal with feeling so helpless and insignificant and small, and really unable to protect yourself from so long, um, I think that kind of like forces a lot of us into the gym. And I know that a lot of us find like home and community in the gym, but I definitely think that it is a problem with with greater society, why a lot of gay men think that they have to look a certain way, because I think that that kind of spills over as well. Like I think that a lot of guys will start going to the gym because they feel insecure in themselves, and then once they start getting a good body, then they start kind of um you know pushing that insecurity onto other gay men, so that they can feel like they finally made it. I'm fine. I'm the bully now. Um, and I don't even know if people realize they're doing it, but I definitely experienced that a lot when I first started dating in my early 20s. Like there was definitely a lot of like discussion about not wanting to fuck twinks. And, I just always sort of felt like I just never felt sexy. I never felt, um, you know, big. I never felt like super confident. And I think, I just kind of took all of those insecurities and ran to the gym with it. I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah. What the comment you made about twinks? Nobody wants to fuck twinks. What the fuck? What?
Yeah, I mean, like when when I was that age, it was like Scruff and Grinder were like just out, right? And it was like the Wild West. I don't know if I'm sure other people remember this, but like the shit that people would say to you was wild. And I just remember getting a lot of comments being like, your body sucks, or like whatever, and I just always had this idea in my head that like, oh, I just like am unattractive.
So when did you finally come out? What was the straw that broke the camel's back in that regard?
uh like coming out as gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will. Well, I mean, I was in Northern California, and I was about 3 hours away from San Francisco. And when I was in my junior year of high school, my mom was doing some conference in San Francisco, and she brought me and my sister, and she gave us both $100 and let us go in downtown San Francisco. And so, of course, we ran to the Virgin Record store, which they still had CDs back then. And I remember just kind of going around there, and I went up to the very top floor, which is where they had all the porn, which I didn't know, but they had these huge banners of cult models from like the old magazine, the Cult magazine, or like the studio or whatever, and they were like so hot and tanned and glistening, and I was like, fuck, man, like that. I can't deny that I just fucking absolutely love that. And so I like knew in that moment that was when I kind of like stopped lying to myself, but I still wasn't really comfortable coming out. So I spent my last year in high school, and when it came time to apply for colleges, I only applied to San Francisco State because I was like, I can just go there and be a Nancy boy and like finally like live my dream. And it wasn't until like halfway through my freshman year in college that I was able to come out. But I mean, it was easy because I was away from my family, and I didn't know anyone, like I had my roommate and the people that I knew on the floor in the dorms, but like I didn't know them, so it was easy to just be a new person.
How did your family react? Because I'm guessing they know now. or no?
Yeah, they know now. They're super cool. Like my parents are super cool. My sister's super cool. Um, uh, my sister cried because she was like worried. I think she said, "Don't get AIDS," because like people just don't. I think that's just like that's the thing. Like you're gay, you're gonna get AIDS. That's like the first thing straight people think of. So I know she was just concerned, and since then she's a doctor. Like she knows way better now, but she was so young then that was she was concerned for my safety, and so I'll give her that.
Okay. So
But other than that, my parents are totally cool with it. I mean, I think if you don't know that your son is gay and you're their parent, like you're just in denial. Unless they're like really good at hiding it, you just are, turning a cheek to
yeah.
that.
No, I remember listening to something with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was talking about his mom, and Arnold had like all these posters on his wall, and his mom said to him later, she's like, "Well, I knew either you were gay or you were going to be a bodybuilder, one of the two."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
And it's so funny too, because like back then you're like, oh no, I'm hiding this so well, no one knows. But there's like everyone knows. Like you're not fooling anyone.
yeah, absolutely. So how in the world did you go from California to where you live now? What happened there?
Yeah, crazy, right? So yeah, I was living in San Francisco, and it was like a Pride, and I was working at a bar. I was working at the Eagle in San Francisco, and I went out to my friends were throwing like a big Pride party at some club, and so I went out there afterwards, just like as a fluke. And as I was going in, I ended up meeting my future husband, who was visiting from the UK.
Well,
And so we, yeah, we just like hit it off instantly. We went immediately to a bathhouse and like fucked around all night. And then we spent like a whole week together. And that was kind of it. That we just started doing long distance. And um, I had always kind of told myself that like I was living in a rent control place in San Francisco, and that was when the rents were like really, really starting to get high there. And so I told myself like, there's no way in hell that I'm going to move out of this place to another place in the U.S. that's probably going to have the same problems. So I was like, if I'm moving out of this place, it's going to be to another country. And lo and behold, I ended up moving to the UK.
forgive me, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this because, I mean, if you were just a friend and you were telling me you were considering moving to another state to be with a guy, I would try talking you out of it, let alone another country. Like, you have to understand
Yeah,
how
yeah,
insane that sounds, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think it's crazy, but I was also, I think I was like dying to get out, anyways. I had spent 13 years in San Francisco, and I had watched that city go from this like bastion of like culture and art and queer expression and kink and drag queens, and you could do whatever you want and make money and live, and it was so cool. I watched it go from that to just completely hollowed out by the tech industry, to the point where it just overrun by homeless encampments. And the mayor was basically selling off San Francisco to the highest bidder, which apparently she's still doing. Yeah, so it just kind of felt like the magic was gone in San Francisco for me, anyways. I'm like, I don't want to shit on San Francisco in any way. I actually visited there for a couple days when I was back in the US, and it is still a beautiful, vibrant city. I think I was just done with it. And so I was kind of just looking for a reason to get out, anyways.
Okay. So how long have you two been together for now?
Almost 6
Oh
years.
wow. Good for you.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's my best friend. Like I don't, I couldn't imagine being with anyone else, you know. And also, the coolest part about being in a gay relationship is that we're not beholden to any sort of like heteronormative traditions. So like we kind of just get to do whatever we want, you know, as long as we're being like honest with each other and stuff. Like we can fuck other dudes, you know, like we can like if I go to bed early and he wants to go to the park and cruise and stick his dick in some strange, like he can go do that. That's totally like I celebrate that, you know. And like if I am having a rough day and I want to like go to the bathhouse or whatever, like I totally have free reign to go do that. So um, we're just like best friends, you know. We have a fucking awesome relationship. I'm so happy.
I think that's amazing that you found that and that you two make it work for you because so many guys jealousy and possessiveness and just God, that shit will eat away like that. So
Yeah. No, we argue over like chores. We don't really argue over anything like that. You know, like we argue over like really stupid shit. Like really stupid shit. And I think more than anything, I think it's just because we like each other so much that we spend so much time together. And I think sometimes we forget that we're like, oh, we've just spent like, you know, a week in each other's pocket. We need to just like give each other a break.
so how do you handle STDs then between the two of you and all that?
Yeah, I mean, we just get tested super regularly. Uh, and just stay up on our health. I mean, I don't think I've tested positive for anything in a really long time, and that is more of a credit to, you know, the really open and honest gay community that we have. Like if anyone has anything, they let us know. We both go get tested, or we take preventative treatment. And we're good, you know. Like I think as sex workers and as queer people, we've just always kind of had to arm ourselves with
Mhm.
the most up-to-date information, the most up-to-date methods of protecting yourself. And you kind of start to see where that the lack of that will start to break down when you start to get involved with bi performers. And
Really?
mainly on the straight side of it. It's not the bi performers because they will obviously have all this information, but a lot of the straight performers that they deal with will say like, "Oh, I won't work with you because you work with gay people and gay people are dirty." You know, that's where that kind of starts to break down. Um, but yeah, I think it's so fucking cool to be queer because we have such an amazing community. And yeah, I understand that we all don't like each other. Like I have people that I don't like. I'm sure there's tons of people that don't like me. But as a community, we're all very communicative and we're all very honest and we're all very, very up to date with our health. You know, we take our health very seriously, and you know, we've had to, you know, we had to survive so many different fucking things as gay men, as queer people, you know. And so I think that's really fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. And I mean, because for me, this was actually like 2 weeks ago. I had an ingrown hair on my dick. And I remember I had
Ouch!
to shoot scheduled for that afternoon and I felt it in the shower and I was like, oh shit. So
It's
I
happening.
immediately texted my partner. Well, because I didn't know. I was like, okay, this hurts, so it's probably an ingrown hair. But I was like, but there is
Hmm.
that off chance it could be syphilis. So let's go get tested just,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
postpone the shoot. And thank God it was an ingrown hair. It was
yeah,
negative, but You're absolutely right. It
Yeah.
comes down to that communication.
Yeah. I mean, when we were in, we just actually got back from 2 weeks being in Atlanta and in Florida, and like right in the middle of the shoot, we we got a scare. One of the performers was like, "Hey, I think I might have something," and so at that point, we were in like an Airbnb with a bunch of other like hookers too, and so it was like lockdown, like notify everyone, get on your like medication, because we all like take medication with us, so we took like preventative medication and stuff, and like luckily like the next day let us know that it actually wasn't anything, so it was all good. But like it was really funny to see us in that moment of, I guess, crisis is what we'll call it. It's not that big of a deal, but you know, like when you have all these shoots and stuff, like it it's like all hands on deck. You know, you gotta like inform everyone, let everyone know what's going on, allow them to make the right decisions for themselves. And um again, it just, I think it goes back to this sort of like radical communication that we have as queer people, and something that we've kind of built into to our community. I think it's great.
Yeah. So this question I asked everyone: if you could have sex in only two positions for the rest of your life, nothing else, you can't cheat, what two are you picking and why?
Okay, cool. I feel like I only really do like two positions most of the time anyways. I mean, doggies, I will all like doggy style is my number one. I want to be on my hands and knees, and I want to just be getting like railed. You know, I feel like I look the sexiest in that position. It feels the best in that position. That's like my go-to. Um the next one I like to do is sort of like that pretzel move, where it's essentially missionary, but you're like, you put your legs back as much as possible and then wrap your arms around them so that you're keeping everything like propped up. That I would say that would be my second favorite, because then the top can like really just
Okay.
get it in there deep and pound as hard as possible.
Um, I mean, there's a million variations of missionary, but every single person I've ever
Yeah.
interviewed has said missionary is one of the two. So,
Oh,
yeah.
really? That's so funny.
Well, the,
I mean, it is like the sex position, right? Like it's just gonna work the best with our anatomy because that's where everything is, you know? I think if anyone said like upside down pile driver, I would be like, that's every time, you know?
no.
But like some people like to ride a lot. That hurts my fucking legs so bad. I know tops really enjoy it. Good for them. I'm not fucking doing it. It's fucking my knee. I'm just like, oh, creaker, creaker, creaker. My knees are just like toast after that.
All right. So, my last question for you is: everything you've done, everything you've seen, everything you've experienced in life, if you could give one piece of advice, what would it be?
My advice would to be just fucking do it. If there's something that you want to do, fucking do it. You know, like a good friend of mine has come out of the closet recently at like, you know, pretty late. Like I think he was 38, and it kind of just confirmed to me that like, you know, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. So if you want to do something, fuck what other people think, fuck what you know are scared of, you know, any of those like, you know, like thoughts that are telling you like, no, people will, you know, think you're crazy or like whatever. Fuck all that. Just do it. You know, we don't have a lot of time. Just fucking like go be a slut. Who gives a fuck? you're gonna be happy, you're gonna feel great, just fucking do it. And then like that's also with the bodybuilding. Like a lot of times I'll tell myself, I'm too old to be, this early in my bodybuilding journey or whatever. It's just like, who fucking cares? So what? So the fuck what? You're never too old. It doesn't fucking matter. Just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
You want to get
for
your tongue
anyone
split
who's
and get a bunch of
watching
head
this
tattoos, just fucking
who's
do it.
not familiar with you, where can they find your social media, your fan pages, your clothing company, all that good shit?
Yes. So, across all platforms, for my porn and content work, that's Teddy underscore Bryce. So that's for Twitter, Instagram, OnlyFans, just for fans. Teddy underscore Bryce. If you want to take a look at my tattoo work, that would be under my government name, which is Colton James Tattoo. And then the clothing brand, if you want to look it up on Instagram or Twitter, it's Strap with two P's Metal. So Strap Metal.
Okay. Hey guys, just wanted to say thank you for watching this video, and if you did really enjoy it, I just wanted to mention there are two ways that you can help to support this channel. On the right side, there are three little dots. If you click those, there is a super thanks button, and on the left-hand side, there is a join button where you can join this channel. There are three different tiers of memberships. The top tier does actually allow one-on-one messaging with me via Discord, and I personally answer that. It is not a service. That's just, both of those are ways that you can help support me as a content creator in this channel. I mention this because YouTube is by far the thing that I enjoy doing the most. It's the thing I'm most passionate about. And unfortunately, a lot of the sexual videos, the Pornstar Confessions, the Dom Sub, all that stuff, it is not monetized due to the nature of the videos. But either way, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I hope you guys all have an absolutely amazing week. I love you all.